everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here today. Today is Thursday, March 13th, 14th, something like that. And today I am hopping on to talk about Angora rabbits. It is that time of the year, and I thought I would talk about breeding them a little bit. Just to give you some tips and tricks and all the things. I bred 2 of my Angora rabbits this year. So far, I bred a red English Angora doe to a blue-eyed white English Angora buck. And I did not have success with that breeding. I am going to rebreed them probably tomorrow is what I'm thinking. And we'll see. I kind of knew. I tried a few times with her, and you can tell when it, usually you can tell when it works and when it doesn't work. So, and I have other videos on talking about more specifics, but I also bred a black steel French Angora doe to a red-eyed white French Angora male. And she was due Monday, would have been the 30 days. Rabbits are right around 30 days, and we will talk about that too. And she ended up having, I went out yesterday morning to check on her, and there were definite signs that she had eaten the babies. And that happens. She is a first-time mom, and for whatever reason, sometimes they do that. I have been doing this for 20 years now, and I have had moms eat the entire batch. I have had moms, and I know it's disgusting and gross, but it's just what it is. It's the world of having animals, and sometimes having animals is gross and disgusting. So it does happen. And so I've had batches where she has eaten like 1 or 2 of them, and I've had successful batches. So it just depends. I don't know if there's rhyme or reason. I've heard before that if they don't feel safe, they will eat them. I've heard different things. I don't know if any of it's true or not. But so I started watching her. Like I said, I was pretty sure there was at least 1 other bunny. I think there was probably 2 other bunnies. First time mom, she was born here a year ago. So she's almost a year old. And so I kept an eye on her yesterday morning, and we played pickleball on Wednesdays, and we got back from pickleball, and I went out as soon as we got back, and there was a little baby laying on the ground. I'll have to take a picture of my setup where I have her specifically and show you how I have her set up. She is not in a cage. And so I had a box in there for her, a nesting box and all the things. And I found a little one that was on the ground cold, and I thought he was gone. I have learned though, well, before I get into that, let me touch base with some of the basics of breeding rabbits. Like I said, I had a nesting box in there for her. I don't know what it is lately. I used to have, I felt like less issues with moms preparing. They will pull their fiber out. They will get the hay and they'll mix it all together, and they'll make this beautiful nest. And more times than not lately, I have moms, mama rabbits, that are just not doing that. And I'm not sure why. She's had the nesting box in there for weeks now. She did show signs. You can tell when they're getting ready. You will find them with hay, just a gob of hay stuck in their mouth. And that's a sure sign that she's getting ready to make a nest, which she did that last week. And I thought, I kind of knew the babies were coming, but she never did any more than that. And so there wasn't really any nest. She pulled 0 fiber out. They typically pull it out of their belly and stuff. And she didn't do any of that. I don't know why. I don't know why it seems like it's changed. Now, I personally do not breed a ton. I typically, the last few years, I have only bred maybe 1 or 2 rabbits. And last year I bred the same thing. I bred one English, the red English mom to the red English dad, and I got 7 red English Angora babies from that batch. And then my French mom, this time around was born last spring, and she was one of 3. And we lost the other 2. And of course, this was during the time of when I was in the hospital and all the things were happening. So it's just one of those things. But so last year I did 2 of them, bred 2 of them, and ended up with 2 batches, 1 batch of 7, 1 batch with 1 that survived. And so I don't breed every year, and I don't breed a lot throughout the year. It depends on if I hear people. Last year I had a rough year getting rid of rabbits. More difficult time than I've ever had getting rid of rabbits last year. I'd have people call me. I'd have people make like a time when they were going to be here to pick up a rabbit and never show up. I had people call me the 3 hours before they were supposed to be here to pick up a rabbit saying they changed their mind. So last year was one of those years where I almost was hesitant to breed again this year, because you have to be, I've said this before, if you're going to breed, you're either going to have places to put all those rabbits when you do that, or you're going to have to sell them and get rid of them. And so, last year was one of those years that I almost didn't do any breeding this year, but I went ahead and did that. So I found the little guy, and I'm not certain if it's a boy or girl yet. That is one thing with rabbits. I know some people can tell, like, right the first few hours or first 12 hours, they can tell if it's a boy or girl, which I have never tried to do. I didn't know there was a trick to that. I was just reading about that the other day. But I usually wait until they're older, and I don't always get it right. It is really, really hard to tell the sex in a bunny. And so I prefer to wait until they're like adults, and then you really know if it's a boy or girl. I've gotten better over the years. And I've gotten to the point where I think I can pretty much tell. So I don't know if it is a boy or girl yet, so we will find that out. But I was just getting ready to take him out to nurse, and I thought I'd show him to you, show you how he's doing, and talk about some of the tricks that I use that might not be conventional tricks. Because if I were breeding all the time, and just the nature of the beast, when you lose rabbits, you lose rabbits. It just is what it is. So when I found him cold and I thought he was gone yesterday, I have learned over the years that that's not always true, which is really weird. And it's probably thankfully to things like reels and things, when people are resuscitating goats that are cold or cows that are cold. I didn't know that was a thing until the last few years. And I have successfully resuscitated several bunnies over the years, this last few years, just because I've watched those reels and go, oh, I didn't know that. And so he was cold, and I thought for sure he was a goner. I stood in the kitchen for, I don't know how long, cupping him and just rubbing his little body, trying to get some circulation going. And I got the heating pad out and laid him on that, and kept rubbing him, and I was getting nothing. I probably did that for about 20 minutes and with no success. So I thought, oh, I think he's gone. So I thought he was gone. I told Scott, I'm like, I don't think he's going to make it. I must have stood there for probably 20 minutes doing the whole warming him up. I stuck him in my shirt and couldn't get him to come back. And so I literally walked over to where I keep my grocery bags, and I was going to put him in a grocery bag and dispose of him quietly, and take him out. And as I was walking over, I felt some movement in my hand, and I thought, no way. And sure enough, he started wiggling just a wee tiny little bit. And so I kept up with the heat on him. I laid him in the heater pad and kept rubbing his little belly and stuff. And sure enough, within maybe another 5 or 10 minutes, he finally became active, and his color came back to it, or came to him. And so I saved one of them. So I have him here because I'm getting ready to take him out to nurse. And I thought I'd show you him real quick. I have no idea. So he's going to be a broken color pattern. He has, you can see where the white's going to be. And let's see, how can I do this? You can see where the white is. You can see where the black is. So I'm not quite sure. His mom, like I said, is a black steel. Her mom was a blue steel, and her dad was a chestnut. And my red-eyed white male, Buck, he red-eyed white, and his dad was a red-eyed white. His mom was a blue steel. And so I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look back on their pedigree to see if there are any broken in there. But he is going to be different colors. He looks like a little cow. So, and he is doing well. I have a few different tricks for, and if you hear whining, Willow and Maggie are out on the deck. I didn't want Willow in here because she just wants to mother all these things. So he is doing well. And I tried this morning. He is in my closet. I have a walk-in closet. He's in there. I have a box, just a small little box on top of the heater pad. I have just an old towel in there. I tried to take him out this morning and see if I could get Mama to connect with him or whatever. I kind of left him in there while I was doing my chores and stuff. And he ended up scooting all over the place. I had to look for him. I thought I had lost him. So, and she's not really interested. So what I'm doing, and I have had success with this in the past. Again, this might not be something that people who are breeding constantly would even worry about doing or even do. They just probably let nature take its course. And so what I'm doing is just taking him out there. I have Mama in one of my cages on the ground with hay, straw down, and she's got her box in there and stuff. And I am taking him out there and getting her kind of in the corner, and I just kind of stand there and I'm tucking baby in. And that's how I'm getting him to nurse. If you listen real carefully, when you do that, you can hear them slurping. With just one, it's very quiet, but you can hear it. Nursing rabbits, they typically only nurse once a day. So in a 24-hour period, it's typically only going to be once a day. When I have a situation like this, I will typically take him out there 2 or 3 times a day just to make sure, until I know that he's gotten through these first few days. I take him out there a few times a day just to make sure, put him under. And I'm hoping that at some point here I can move him out there and she will kind of take the lead on everything. And so when you listen, you can hear him nursing, and it is fast. They do not nurse for long, and they only nurse once a day. So that's one of those things that it's just so quick. You might never see, if you have like a batch of babies with the mama and she's doing all the things right, you may never see her nurse them because it's only once a day that she does it typically. And so that's what I do. I have done other things with moms who weren't being good moms. I've actually, when I have a bigger batch, I will put them in a Rubbermaid container, a deep one. And I will, when there's, 6 or 8 of them, he's all alone. So he's just in this tiny box. But when there's 6 or 8 of them, I will put them in there. And then I will literally bring Mama in and just set her down in the Rubbermaid box. And that's how and kind of just sit there and make sure she stays down. And that's how I get them to nurse. I have literally in the past taken the mama, turned her over on my arm, and literally when I had struggling babies, I would literally put the babies on her to get milk. And I've had success that way too. So I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to trying to get these babies to survive. And so those are a few of the tips. Again, someone who is breeding constantly with lots of bunnies and they're, it's just a different mindset. They might not do all this stuff, but I tend to lean towards trying to get them to survive if I can. And so, yeah, Scott named him Pickleball because he was born while we were at Pickleball. So that's his name, although he does look like a cow. He almost has freckles. I don't know if you can, oh yeah, you can see that. See his little freckles there. And he's got coloring on his face. And so I'll be curious to see. I'm hoping he makes it. This isn't a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination. I have gotten to where I think we're doing good for 4 or 5 days and they end up passing away. Actually, his mom was one of 3 last year, and they were the biggest babies I have ever seen. They were huge when they were born, and it was so surprising to me. And one of them died because he literally was jumping out of the nesting box and fell. And he was like 2 days old, which is unheard of for them to be that active, that young. And mom did do a full nesting box, had the fur and everything. And whatever it was with those babies, they were so big and so active. That's how one of them ended up passing away, because he jumped out of the nesting box and just crawled. He was in the middle of the garage when we found him. So it's one of those things, you're never quite sure what you're going to get. But I am hopeful. He looks good. Another thing you can tell when you are nursing the bunnies this way is you'll want to watch for their little bellies. You should be able to tell. Right now he's got some wrinkly skin. And when I take him out to nurse, when I pull him out, his belly will be pretty big and taut when they have nurse. So you can tell when they're eating. It really shows up on their body if they're eating well. So, and he's a pretty good size. He looks good. He doesn't look like I had him out there twice yesterday. He's been out once today, and I'm going to take him back out a couple more times today. I'm going to go out right now and do it. But yeah, he's looking pretty good. So I am hopeful that he's going to make it, and we will see. I'll have to make a decision whether or not I'll wait to see what his color looks like before I decide if I'm going to sell him or not. I did have intentions of selling all of them. But I'm also going to rebreed. Like I said, I'm going to rebreed my red Scarlet, my red English, to Archer, my blue-eyed white English, again tomorrow. And I do think I am going to rebreed this one to the same. Benny was the red-eyed white boy, or male buck, that I bred. This one's mama too. So I think I'm going to rebreed her yet this weekend. The thing with bunnies are you can breed them right away. And so since there's only one here and I'm kind of taking care of it, I would like to rebreed her and see how she does with the second batch of bunnies. And then from there, I will make the decision. I'll see how she does on her second batch. And then I'll make the decision whether or not I am going to continue to use her as a breeder, to breed bunnies, or if I'm just going to continue to use her as a fiber animal. That's the one thing with mine. I can breed the babies, but also I'm using the fiber all the time from all of them. So that's, I don't necessarily cull my does that aren't good breeders because I use their fiber, if that makes sense. I think with meat rabbits, it would be, if you're not getting easy batches that are taking care of them, and moms that are taking care of their babies and stuff and making the nest and all the things, and they're not nursing them. With meat rabbits, you wouldn't even consider rebreeding her over and over again. You would cull her from your flock and not worry about it. So with mine, it's a little bit different because I do use the fiber. So I hope all that made sense. If you have any questions, as always, you can put them down below in the comment section. If you don't already, please subscribe to my channel. I do 2 videos a week right now, Mondays and Fridays. And yeah, I enjoy doing this, so I hope it's helpful for you. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I hope you get to create something today. Bye.